Hello and welcome to the She Who Dares Wins podcast, and my guest today is Becky. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, Becky, everyone gets the same question. She Who Dares Wins. Can you tell me how you've dared and won?
Do you know what? I was listening to the podcast and I was like, how on earth am I going to answer this question? I haven't got a clue. I think so. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 15. And I think I thought like my life was completely over. And I think I've dared because I think I every day try to live my life like to the fullest I can, depending on the day, varying levels of success, but like just not let that diagnosis and that illness stop me from achieving like what I want in life. And yeah, I think I really thought that I'd never live like a, normal in inverted commas life, never have a boyfriend, never have a career at such a young age, to have a diagnosis that is a lifelong condition that has no cure. I was like, what do I do with that? Like I'm never going to be able to do anything. And actually just to turn that story that I think is told to a lot of people when they get some kind of diagnosis or disability, or that you're not going to be as able as other people in life, and actually say, screw that, and I'm just going to keep trying to live my life the best way I can and what feels like right to me, and what I'm not going to kind of crush my dreams just because somebody tells me I can't do something. You might need to go a different way or think outside the box, or maybe, look at reality and say, okay, maybe I'm not going to hit that, but maybe I can hit this, rather than, I think just keep going and keep, no matter what, just keep going and don't let things stop you. I think, yeah.
Amazing. That's a great mindset. I know a little bit about Crohn's disease just because one of my brother's friends had it, and I think was pretty similar. Well, he was diagnosed in his early 20s, but many people don't know about it. Can you talk me through, because 15, like there's a lot going on in a 15-year-old's life.
Yeah, definitely.
To then have this.
Yeah.
Talk me through that little period, and then kind of what it is that people don't know about Crohn's disease, which you found out.
So, yeah, like you said, at 15, obviously there's so much going on, hormones.
Yeah.
I went to grammar school, and everything was like A levels, uni, everybody needs to get good grades. That was the only kind of path in life, or that's how it felt at that age. So I think there was like a lot of pressure, a lot of it coming from myself. I really put a lot of pressure on myself. It's something I'm still working on. But I think I had this idea that I needed to achieve, and then I was diagnosed with Crohn's. I'd been quite unwell. It took like a year and a half to get me diagnosed. There was, the NHS is amazing, but unfortunately sometimes it doesn't always work quite how it should. And but got my diagnosis, and they then took quite a long time to get me into remission because it had got so bad, because it had been left for so long not being treated. But yeah, I think it was tough. Looking back, I think it was actually tougher than I even realized at the time. But like, not just physically, obviously physically I was very unwell, but mentally I think it had such a huge impact. Year 11, I think I had 40% attendance, and like I still did my GCSEs, somehow managed some actually okay grades. But then I went into A levels, and like it was my dream to go to university, and it just wasn't happening. Like the combination of physically being unwell, mentally struggling with the diagnosis, and living every day with a disease that makes you feel pretty rubbish at times.
Yeah.
That's probably underestimating it a little bit. Absolutely dreadful at times, can't get out of bed. So right. I think just dealing with all of that, and it just wasn't the right time for me to go through education. So like I did year 12, didn't get the results I wanted. I retook year 12 because I didn't want to fail. And I got halfway through like year 13, so the last year of school, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I think I was the only way to succeed in my head at that time was to get good grades at school and go to university. And I actually ended up going on my school ski trip, and I learned to snowboard when in sixth form, and I absolutely fell in love. And it was the head of sixth form that was the trip leader for the trip. And she took me to one side after the trip, and she said, I shouldn't probably say this because obviously I'm the head of sixth form, but I think you need to quit school. I think seeing you like on a mountain snowboarding, you're like a completely different person. And for whatever reason at this time, mentally, physically, education is not right for you. And it's not that you're not capable, because I know that you're more than capable, but And I think that gave me the final bit of kind of like, I think I'd wanted to quit for ages, but I just couldn't because I felt like I was failing. I think it gave me that final kind of, it's okay to let go of it.
Yeah.
So I quit my A levels, didn't finish them, didn't get any good grades, and then went and became a ski and snowboard instructor and did a few seasons. But then I did actually then end up going back to university and getting my degree and
You did.
succeeding in the end. But yeah.
What degree did you do?
So I did languages, so German and French. Yeah, my French is terrible. I've already forgotten everything, but German's quite good because I still work, between the UK and Austria, so I still use my German quite a lot.
Oh wow,
My
came to
French
good use.
just disappeared completely.
Just don't work in a French resort.
Yeah,
you're fine.
definitely not. But yeah, I think with Crohn's disease, I think a lot of people just think it's a bit of a dodgy tummy. Like, you eat, you drink milk or whatever, and you have a bit of a funny tummy, and it's so much more than that. And I think so many people misunderstand it and think that, okay, you've got this and the medication helps and you're absolutely fine. Like, yeah, to look at me right now, you wouldn't have a clue that I live with a lifelong illness. And I think it's so hard to put into words what it is like unless you've lived through something. And, I can't expect everybody to understand what I go through on a daily basis, as I can't understand what people with more severe disabilities or illnesses go through. Like, we can try, but I can't expect you to fully understand, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to have these conversations because every day of my life it's a struggle,
Right.
if I'm honest, and it's really hard for me to talk about, so
Yeah.
I'm going to try and be honest. But yeah, every day is hard. I wake up and I'm exhausted every day of my life.
Right.
And it's not just like, wake up and I'm a bit tired. You get 9 hours sleep and you feel like you've slept 3 every single day. And
Wow.
just the fatigue is just, even when you're in remission, that's still there. And so I take medication to try and keep me in remission. So it's an autoimmune disease. So my body attacks itself, essentially. So I have to take immunosuppressants to lower my immune system, which obviously makes me more susceptible to picking up every other cold illness in the world. Yeah, that keeps me in remission. Not always. It is always a roller coaster. Sometimes they work for a year. Sometimes they don't work at all. I've been on so many different medications over the years, and liquid diets where I can't eat at all and you just drink chocolate milkshake for 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I think it's just that people take a lot of things on face value in general in life, right? And they look at someone, they're like, oh, you look fine, so you must be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important that we talk more about this, that physically every day I'm in pain, I'm exhausted. Every time I need to go to the toilet, I get like very severe stomach pain and urgency. So like on a good day, I might go to the toilet 2-3 times. On a bad day, it might be 15.
Mm-hmm.
Like even when I'm in remission and well, and then the whole mental side that comes with that as well. Like, where is a toilet? Am I going to make it in time? Am I going to have an accident? Like, and generally I'm pretty good. And you learn to manage it, and you learn to that, okay, first thing I start to feel ever so slightly sick just before I need the toilet. Just about 10 minutes before.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I feel a bit sick. Ah, okay. That could be a toilet. And you learn to like really read your body to say, oh, okay, where is a toilet? And yeah, can I get there in time?
Okay.
But it takes quite a lot of thinking and, and planning, and not everything always goes your way. Like, it really doesn't. There's some times where you plan to do something. I guess the most recent example is that I planned to go to Everest Base Camp. I've been planning it for 3 years. I had to postpone it for 3 years because of my Crohn's. So like, you plan something in life, and it just feels like every single time you try and do something, it's like, no, you can't do it.
Yeah.
No, you can't do it. And I think, yeah, it is tough. Like, but of course there are so many people with illnesses and disabilities that have it way, way worse than me. But I think just as a general thing, it's really good to talk about these things because everybody's struggling one way or another, right?
Yeah. And
whether that's...
Yeah. And it is hard, isn't it, when life moves so fast and we're all so kind of self-involved in our own importance.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're not the best humans when it comes to things like this, and so firstly I massively appreciate you talking about it, because the big thing that I love is that stories help other people. And you've obviously been through it at quite a young age as well, and would say that you are coping with and doing what the mindset shift's been great, but the reality is it's pretty hard to live with. Yeah, so that's very inspiring.
Thank you.
No, it is because we don't like talk about things because it can be difficult and it can be awkward. And
I mean, I didn't talk about my Crohn's disease with anyone for probably the very close people knew. And when I was diagnosed, my whole school knew, and I won an award for adversity, which was lovely. But also it was like, look at the sick kid. It was amazing. It was really lovely. But it was like, okay, you're really different and weird.
Oh, yeah.
But after that kind of, from 18, I didn't talk to people. Like, nobody knew. My very close friends and family knew. But I wouldn't ever talk about it. But it's been a real journey for me. And I would even say it's only in like the last probably 3 years that I can actually just meet someone and have an honest conversation that this is my life and this is what I live with and this is how it is. Because I think I was always so embarrassed about, it's not the most, feminine disease to have. Like,
yeah, I suppose,
it's quite, like, it's not nice for anybody.
Yeah.
Of course, the same as a man. It's also, but I think it's, as a woman, it's like, in my head, it was like, that's disgusting. Like, you need to go to the toilet 15 times a day and you have accidents. And it doesn't feel like a very attractive disease to have or talk about. And I think I was just so embarrassed of having it. And I used to make up lies that I need to go to the toilet. I would rather say that I was being sick than having like diarrhea.
Yeah.
Because I was just embarrassed, which is just, now I think about it, it's like, it's so stupid. Why didn't you just tell people? But yeah. It was really tough.
We're humans, aren't we? And like the shame thing always comes through. I don't know. I think as women, we do probably feel it more.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Obviously, it's hard to know because we
we've
can't
got-
live as a man, so it's probably just as equally as hard. But
Yeah, true. Yeah. God, it's and how much of it is about you now spreading the word so that others don't have to go for it? Do you feel a bit of a sense of responsibility?
Yeah, I guess. I think so. I think I don't want to like the word inspiration, like when you just said it, it makes my skin crawl. I don't feel like that about myself at all. But I think like in my head, I'm like, okay, if I'd seen a young woman when I was 15, like living her life and doing some of the stuff that I've done in my life, and it's nothing big or bold or grand, and I haven't achieved amazing things. A lot of people wouldn't say so, but like I think just seeing that actually you can still have a fulfilling life and you can still do stuff, and it's not that you're going to be stuck in a hospital bed for your whole life. Okay, there are going to be periods where you may not be able to get out of a hospital bed, but there also are going to be periods where you can go trekking in Nepal and you can be a ski and snowboard instructor in Austria and you can have a healthy relationship and potentially have a family one day. So I think I think also just the education for people that don't have any idea and they've never come across like illness directly. I think it's really important that more people are aware and just a little bit more understanding when it comes to things like this, because like I said before, everybody is fighting a battle, whether you can see it or not, whether it's mental health, physical health, financial stress, whatever it is. We're all, life is not easy. Life is not linear. Life is hard, and there's bumps and trials all the way through it. And I think just on just a bigger level, just being a little bit more tolerant and considerate of others is a really good thing. And I think if I can even change one person's view on Crohn's disease, or just looking at long-term illness and how people deal with it, I think that would kind of feel successful to me, because I think I just think it's important to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. At 15 then, what were you told? Were you told that when you say you can think that life is kind of over and all those things that you now have, you didn't think, was that something that was put across in black and white medically, or?
Not exactly. Like,
but this is stuff that it probably wasn't exactly, but it's what your mind takes
exactly.
in.
They said that it's a lifelong condition that has no cure. We're not still really sure what causes it. And, it there's always it's going to be here forever, and you're always going to be sick, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think being told that at such a young age, I'd never even heard of it before, so I had no idea. And then you obviously then start researching, and you find on the internet, they've had this many surgeries, and they've got a stoma bag. And, now a stoma bag to me is not terrifying at all. I haven't got one at the moment. I haven't had one, luckily managed to avoid one so far. But the last surgery I had, they said, we don't know what we're going into. You might wake up with a stoma bag. We don't know. And I was like, do you know what? I actually don't care. I just want, to be able to live.
Yeah.
So do whatever you have to do but I think at that age when you're 15, there's all of this stuff. Like, I didn't even know what a stoma was at 15. And, this stuff is not taught at school, is it?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my God, I might have to, like, I wouldn't be able to go to the toilet, and I'd have to poo in a bag and everybody would see it. Like, I'd never be able to wear a bikini, like all these thoughts. And it sounds so trivial, I guess. It really does sound so trivial, but in that moment at that age, it felt like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do what I want to do. All the things that I've been dreaming of, as a child, you want to travel the world, and I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm never going to be well enough to do that.
Was there a really dark period where you were learning about it, obviously experiencing it still?
I think probably the first 5 years of my diagnosis, I think mentally I really struggled.
Yeah.
Like, I still, carried on and did stuff. And that was the time when, I was going through my A-levels, and then went on to go to Austria and ski instruct and stuff. And I did stuff, and you could say I was like successful in inverted commas, but at the same time, it was really hard. I remember, again, it sounds so trivial. We were obviously ski instructor life. Everybody's partying quite a lot, drinking quite a lot, and we were living in a flat of like 6 people. And I remember one of my flatmates was like, "Oh, Becky, you're so boring. You just come home, you go to bed, and you don't ever come out." And you're like, and like that was me. I was working obviously on the mountain, like it's quite physical to be a ski instructor.
Yeah.
And you're out in the cold all day, and it can be quite demanding on your body. And like when I got home, I was just exhausted. I just needed sleep to make sure I could get up for work the next day. And then like I can't blame my housemate, because he actually didn't know I had Crohn's disease.
I was going to say,
because I hadn't told him. Yeah, right, so I kept it quiet, and it was at that point that then I felt like, okay, I think I should probably tell them, because maybe they'd understand then. But like, it's just I feel, I really struggled with this. And I remember like a week after that conversation, I took him to one side and I tried to tell him, and I literally was just in floods of tears, trying to get the words out that this is why I'm, what you might call boring, is because I'm living with this and I'm struggling. And the only way that I can actually get up and go and do my job, which is what I came here to do, is by going to bed at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a really tough time. And I think over the years, there's still ups and downs. I had a particularly rough patch with my health, 2023 into 2024. I had to have 2 surgeries. I had 2 bowel obstructions. So I was in and out of hospital quite a lot, like for kind of 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time. And they couldn't really get to the bottom of it. And it kind of took best part of a year to kind of get to the bottom of this problem. And I was still trying to work with my job, and my boss was pretty understanding, so really lucky on that front that I didn't have to give up my job at that time. But I think just I wasn't in in such a mental dark place then, but it's still tough. Like you go from one day being able to get up and go and get a coffee, and then within a day you're laying in a hospital bed and you can't even walk. And you really appreciate when your health is taken away from you appreciate like the really small things, like the really small things, just being able to get out of bed and go and have a shower.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to forget, because even like then when I've been well for 6 months to a year, it starts that gratitude drifts away.
Yeah.
And then Crohn's disease will yank me back in again. But I think in a way it's a good thing, because it really makes you appreciate what's important in life. And what's important is human connection and enjoying life, and not the stuff that society tells you all the time that you should be achieving and you should be earning loads of money and buying a big house. If you can do those things and you're happy doing it, then great. But if you're not and you struggle, I think it's okay to say, I'm never going to have £1 million house.
Yeah.
And that for me is not an idea of success. That's for me, an idea of success is, I don't know, living life as authentically as it feels like for you, what feels authentic to you, and having good human connection. I think that's way more important than a lot of things. And yeah, I think Crohn's disease has taught me that. I think in a way I'm grateful for it, because I think it's taught me what is important in life. And I remember after these 2 surgeries and all this bowel obstruction stuff, and I managed to get back out to Austria, and it was spring, and I went on this like tiny little hike. I didn't call it a hike, it's a walk. My boyfriend would definitely call it a walk. We have different definitions, but it was a little walk, and absolutely so grateful to be able to live half the year in Austria. And the mountains are just absolutely beautiful. And I just remember walking uphill, and I was struggling because I'd laid in bed for the best on and off best part of a year. And I was struggling, and I just looked up and I looked at the mountain, and I just burst into tears. And I was like, I am just so like, just happy tears, grateful to be alive and standing here and be able to even walk up this tiny, pathetic hill and do this. Yeah, I don't know. I think it really changes your perspective on life.
I think you sitting here is so timely, because I've spent the last week deep diving into mainly YouTube videos on like connection and presence, but gratitude.
Yeah.
And I am like the worst person to just keep going and not look. And it talks about how big life changes sometimes are the only times where we reflect. And it's quite sad, isn't it? Like, you know, like a car accident, or, you know, a burnout, or a discovery
losing
of
a loved one, or
like, and actually it's something that we can do if we try, whether we're kind of forced into it or whether we do it, you know, on our own accord. But those 3 things, like human connection, like it's so basic.
Yeah.
And yet we're, you know, not that great at it. And then the gratitude, like somebody said to me last week, I can't remember what they said. It was something about, where do you want things to go? And I was like, at the moment, I was like, it was really basic. I was like, but I'd bought a book, and I was like, I really just like half an hour reading a book and lighting a candle, and it was really sad internally. I don't think
that sounds like the best night ever.
And I was like, is this an age thing, or have I just become a little bit more? And I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm so, you know, I do a gratitude list every single day. But you bringing that up, it really it hits hard and resonates. And I feel awful saying that it's a nice place to be in, because it's not, because it comes with something. But is that the positive thing that
I think that's what I try and take out of it. And also I'm not amazing at it. Like, still there are times, you know, the human brain is very, very good at
forgetting,
catastrophizing, forgetting, and you know, you get into a thought spiral. And I am very good sometimes at being like, oh God, it's so, you know, I don't know, works really hard, and this and this and this, but I think there is this thing in my head where it will go so low, and there'll be no, be grateful for the things that you do have. Like, be grateful that you have like lots of family support. I have, you know, really, my family are really, really great. And like I've got a really, really lovely partner now as well. And like, just even those small things, if there is nothing else, if everything else is falling apart, but just holding on to those small things, and you know, looking outside the window and the sun's shining and there's birds flying in the sky, and it sounds so like, I sound like a hippie.
No, it's not though. It's like,
but it just really noticing those small things, and I think it can have such a positive impact on your day. Like, I'm not gonna lie, yesterday I was not feeling great mentally, if I'm honest, and sometimes like I'm my worst, like own worst enemy, and it's like I just want to stay in bed. I don't want to leave the house. I'm gonna, you know, I'll do a bit of work from home, and then I'll just sit and drink a coffee. But I know that isn't what's good for me when I feel like that. I know that actually getting outside, getting some fresh air, and going into nature will make me feel 10 times better. And like, even then when I'm out and about, it's still, I went for a walk and I definitely did feel 10 times better. But even then, it's like a battle. It's like, oh, I'm looking at the pretty leaves. And then it's like, oh God, I've got those emails that I should really be replying to. It's like, it's not linear.
No,
it's really
it's
not.
a battle,
And
isn't it?
It really is. And I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, I can be so grateful for my life. And it, you know, I am so grateful for so many things in my life, but we're humans, and it's not always, you can't feel that all the time, right?
Yeah.
There's always going to be times where your brain goes, oh, actually, you're having a really rough day today. Everything's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it mad though how we kind of don't feel great about saying that we are grateful? Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, why is that?
Yeah, like, well, yeah, the way I just said, looking at the birds flying in the sky, like, why am I like that?
Yeah.
I shouldn't be embarrassed
No,
about it, but like in a
yeah.
way, I am. Like straight away, there was a
Yeah.
bit of resistance. Like, oh,
Yeah.
look at the sunshine. It's,
Yeah.
but it is like those are the things that I think make us feel good.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to be grateful for those. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it?
I think it's practice, isn't it? I think it's
Yeah.
something that it's like a muscle that we have to keep doing, and yeah, I've not got to the bottom of it yet, so I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, let me know, and
Yeah,
then
vice
we'll
versa.
muddle through together.
But I'm definitely like super. Yeah, this week was a big dive on that, and it is mega interesting to me. And saying present, I guess for you, when you do get kind of periods where you do feel well, you've got this like incredible career of being able to work out in Austria, and during those periods, so for example, the trip to base camp, are you then like wholly present? Does it make you really present and be just like right now?
Yeah, I really try to be. I really do, and I think it makes me. Yeah, I think it's made me kind of want to live a little bit more in the moment, and there's definitely pros and cons that come with that. But like when I am well, I'm like I really want to grab life and go with it, because it feels. I think my life feels like it's a ticking time bomb all the time. It feels like I'm just waiting for the next hurdle, like I'm waiting for the next period where I'm not so well. So it really feels like when I am well, that I have to do stuff, which is like, it's really great and it motivates me, but it also is a bit of a kind of, it can sometimes not be so positive, because if I actually am not doing something and I am just having a day where I'm chilling, but like then I'm like, oh God, I'm wasting a day where I'm well.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's really funny. And it's definitely something I'm still learning, because it's actually rest is so important, especially with my disease as well. It's super important to rest and not do too much.
Yeah.
And I think when I am well, I'm like raring to go, because I just want to live life the fullest I can. But then when I do have a day where maybe I'm not feeling so great, and I do have a day where I don't really do much or achieve much, or I then start feeling guilty, like I'm wasting my life. Like, oh God, you had a day on the sofa. It's the worst thing in the world. But actually, no, it's really good for you. But it feels like, I'm wasting this time where I am well. It's a funny one. It's something I'm still like trying to figure out, and trying to be a little bit kinder to myself and say that actually it's completely fine to have a day on the sofa. And you don't need to be doing something every single day. Like, it's completely okay. But yeah, it definitely has given me this kind of thing where I just want to like live, I guess, and experience things, and, you know, achieve things that are important to me as much as I can when I can.
So base camp, did you complete base camp?
Not quite.
Okay.
Sore topic. So I just got back about a week and a half ago.
Okay.
So I got to 4,500 meters. I was about a day and a half away from base camp, and unfortunately I had some chest pain for a few days, and they couldn't figure out what it was. I did go and see a doctor at 4,500 meters, which is kind of mad.
Right.
Weird little clinic in the middle of the mountains. It was really cool. But they decided it wasn't safe for me to continue. Okay. So I had to go down to the hospital, and I spent 5 days in hospital in Kathmandu. On the mend, feeling a little bit better. Not really sure what caused it. I actually don't think it was related to my Crohn's. I don't know. It could be. It could be chest pain from my stomach. But they were obviously worried about, when you're at high altitude, it can get quite bad quite quick if you get altitude sickness, and you can end up with like pulmonary edema and stuff. So it's
really not worth the risk, is it?
No, you know, ultimately the mountain is always going to win. So if it doesn't feel right, I think it's leave your ego behind and turn around and go down. And it was definitely the right call, because I actually then got a stomach bug that day as well. Like it was brewing. I was like, because I have a lot of diarrhea anyway, when I then get some kind of stomach infection, I'm always like, at the beginning, I'm like, is it just my stomach or is it something more than that?
Right, okay.
And 17, so we were a group of 34,
Uh-huh.
17 people had food poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting a bit of a dodgy tummy and I was like, oh, maybe it's just my tummy. Like, you know, and altitude sickness can also cause diarrhea. So I was like, meh. And yeah, no, definitely had some kind of bug because they medevaced me out with a helicopter. Then I got to hospital and then I was really quite unwell with the stomach bug as well. So I think there are a few things going on. And
Wow.
but yeah, it was definitely the right call to come down. But I'm not going to lie, I struggled with it over the last few weeks.
Listen, as someone who did similar route, I didn't do Everest Base Camp, but I would have trekked predominantly a similar route to you. I did Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, not many people know that.
Yeah.
Is it
Pikey Peak?
Something like that.
P-I-K-E?
You can see base camp in the distance.
Yeah.
I was very ill for 5 days of the last trek, and I was, with tummy bug.
Yeah.
I think it's due to the water. And it's the roughest I have ever felt. So I relate to you on that point.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary. Like, you're in a country that we're in the middle of nowhere for starters.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing as well, because it was chest pain and it had gone on for 3 days. They were like, I mean, I was starting to be like, okay, what is the point that I should turn back? What is the point that maybe it's not safe for me to continue anymore? Because ultimately, if you were to have a cardiac arrest or something, obviously, hopefully that would never happen. But at that altitude, they're not going to get you to a hospital in time. It's an hour's helicopter flight to the next hospital. So,
where were you picked up from there?
Dingboche. So that's like 4,500 meters. So
wow. Were you close to that, or did you have to when the decision was made? Were you?
No, we'd stay. So we did 2 nights there because we're doing acclimatization. So staying, going up a little bit, coming back down, it helps with the altitude. So we'd stayed 2 nights, and I'd gone to see the doctor, and then I went back in the morning, and we were due to leave at like 8:30. So I went back first in the morning. They did another ECG. And they were touch and go whether they were happy for me to continue or not. And then they said, nah, it's just not worth it. Your health is way more important.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it is something like, it's called HAPE, so it's high altitude pulmonary edema, which is where obviously then you really need to go down quickly.
Yeah. Someone in our group, I think I don't know if they had it that bad, but they had to go down because they were acting drunk and had signs of altitude sickness. Everyone thought they were just being funny. And I
think people don't realize. I think people, like altitude is really, really, really dangerous.
Uh-huh.
So, as hard as it was to come down, it was definitely the right decision.
Yeah,
and it was such an amazing trek.
I was gonna say, like, it doesn't really matter the outcome. Like,
no,
that daily.
I think even the journey of actually just going there, because like I knew it wasn't going to be straightforward with my health, and I've waited so long to try and, like, I wanted to go. Then I had to have those 2 surgeries and had 2 bowel obstructions, and then I wanted to go the following year, and then I couldn't get travel insurance. Nobody would cover me. I spent hours because of how unwell I'd been.
Yeah.
So, and the combination of high altitude and Crohn's disease, they were like, not a chance. No matter how much money you pay, we're not covering you. So, but yeah, I finally managed to go, and it was so amazing and like such a great experience. And it was hard, don't get me wrong. Like, it was really, really hard physically and mentally really tough as well. But I think I just proved to myself even more that you can just do hard things.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard it gets, you just keep going.
Yeah.
And I think I'm quite dismissive of like my illness, and like I kind of just dust myself off and try and keep going.
Yeah.
That's what I've always done. And I think I'm quite dismissive of actually maybe how hard that is sometimes. And actually doing something like that, kind of, in a way, I found it easier to accept that I'd done something difficult and achieved that. It's really funny. I don't know, in my head it was like, oh wow, okay, that was really tough and you did it. Like, wow, you actually managed that. And so I guess quite proud of myself of actually going, and because so many people like told me, and the run up to it, because obviously I did it for charity as well, so I was fundraising for Crohn's and Colitis UK, and so I put some posters up around my local town, and I did a quiz night, and so really had so much support, which super, super grateful for. There's so many people so amazing and had given quite a lot of money. I think up to like 5,700.
Wow,
so
amazing.
yeah, really, really happy that I managed to do that. But there were also a lot of people that were like, oh, like it's so risky with your disease. You shouldn't be going. It's irresponsible. And like it's a difficult one because again, there's that kind of that voice that is saying you're different and you can't do that. You're not able to do that. You shouldn't be doing that. And it's actually, you know, if I want to do that, I can.
It's your choice, yeah.
Yeah, and okay, it didn't quite work out perfectly, and I didn't quite get to where I wanted to go, but I got pretty far.
Yeah.
And had some amazing experiences, and talked to a lot of people about Crohn's disease. Even the people like I said, we're a group of 34, so had a lot of conversations about Crohn's disease with them, and obviously quite a lot of people have seen my story and have donated, and I've raised quite a bit of money for the charity. So like in my head, I won, even though I didn't get to where I wanted to go. I think I still achieved what I set out to do in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. We get so focused, don't we, on the end goal with anything.
Yeah. 100%. It's human nature, right? And if you don't quite get to exactly where you wanted to be, it's like, oh, well, that's a failure, isn't it?
Yeah. And
fail.
you look back on like just getting there, being in a country where it is like for me, like you survived probably similar to me, the ridiculous bus ride halfway where you literally
so travel sick.
About to die.
Awful. And like that, I'm sure you probably saw in the media, like the weather's been really bad in Nepal.
Yeah.
And they've had some horrendous landslides.
Yeah.
And you're driving along this road and like you're driving across the landslide and there like the barrier that was once there is hanging off and you're like, oh my God, if I make it through this, I'll be lucky.
I think we got to one point in the road. I think I fell asleep on the bus because I was like, if I fall asleep, it doesn't matter if you die because like you're
not going to know anyway.
The fact that it was like a 300-meter drop. And then like kids would be getting on this bus, which was just for us. I went with UNICEF, so it was quite well organised. And then I remember we got to part of the road and we were waiting and they were like, oh, we just need to build this next part of the road. Literally, his lorry driver got out because it had disappeared. And then you get like another bus that will come the other way and they're like, move over. So your bus driver like edges right to the side of a sheer cliff. And you just think, and they do not bat an eyelid.
No, it's completely normal for them.
Yeah, I never complain about being on a UK motorway ever again.
Definitely not.
So you've got the bus ride. The toilet situation is dire.
Yeah, that was
the long drop that is never so long. That was the biggest thing that I suffered with. So you've got, and I guess you've got all this in your head before you're going. You've got the planning. You've got, you know, making people aware that are on the trip. Then the thoughts of, you know, are you going to chat to people about it? I think it's incredibly brave. Like I like we say, we don't know until we're in that position. But there's so much, like you say, from you to take from it, that the peak is just it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I've heard Everest Base Camp's overrated, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I think for after it happened, I was like, oh my God, I failed. And I think because I was doing it for charity, I felt like I'd let people down because like people have sponsored me to do it and I didn't get there. Yeah. But yeah, really tried to reflect over the last few weeks and say, actually, no, like let's look at the positives of what I have achieved. And it's sitting much better with me now. I'm still going to go back and finish it though.
Awesome.
I'm absolutely determined still. Like, I've got to do it. I can't. I got so close.
Yeah.
I have to. So at the right time, I definitely will go back and complete what I set out to do. But yeah, no, just I guess I am really trying to be proud of myself of what I did achieve. And yeah, like you said, toilet situation is. I mean, it's interesting for anyone to go to the toilet, but for someone that needs to go to the toilet quite a lot, it's super interesting.
Yeah.
There was one. I think it was like day 2 or something. It was one of the longer days of trekking. I think we did like over 1,000 meters of ascent, and we'd left lunch. I'd eaten quite a large lunch because I was starving. Just I don't know, really hungry. And I was like, okay, let's see how this goes this afternoon because I probably am going to need the toilet at some point. And we were going up these steps, and it was just quite a sheer drop from either side of the path. So there was really like nowhere to go and hide behind a rock at all. And this went on for like 40 minutes. And like I have quite a lot of pain when I need the toilet. So like I'm just, the first time I think I was the quietest I've been on. Like the people were like, she's very quiet. Is she okay? Even the medic guy was like, are you all right? And I was like, I just need the toilet really bad. Like I really need the toilet. But like, again, what we were saying about doing hard things, like I was in pain, I needed the toilet, there was nowhere to go, eventually we found a little bit of a bush that I managed to squat behind and do my business. But yeah, that kind of, it plays on your head, the anxiety of, am I gonna poo myself? And I, you don't get many clothes because the flight, you can only take 15 kilos. So you got like 2.5 weeks of trekking and not enough underwear to cover you
No,
for the whole
I don't
time.
think I changed. Like, I definitely didn't shower for like 5 days.
So like even that in my head was like, oh my God, okay, if I ruin this pair of pants, and like I had 2 pairs of trousers, like what if it goes through to my trousers, and then I'm gonna have 1 pair of trousers, am I gonna be able to wash them? Like all of this while you're trying to trek up a mountain at altitude. And yeah, I think it's, in the moment, I'm like, it always feels so funny when I'm talking about myself, like, oh, good job, Becky, well done. It feels so uncomfortable to me,
isn't it?
But like actually taking that moment and saying, okay, that was actually a really hard moment, and you did it and you overcame it, and okay, you had to grit your teeth through it a little bit, but you found a bush and you did your business and you carried on. And do you know what? There was one lady that we'd only met maybe 36 hours previously, and it was on the same day. I think it was when I was struggling going up, and she was a nurse and she knew that I had Crohn's. And I don't know, she obviously maybe could, like, I hadn't said anything, but maybe she could see I was maybe finding it hard, and she just leant into me and she just said, it's going to make me a little bit emotional, but she just said, you should be so proud of yourself. Like, just being here and even attempting this, you should be so, so proud of yourself. You can see what reaction it has in me now. And it just made me, literally, my eyes just start streaming with tears, because there are so many people that are so kind and supportive and lovely. And, this is a stranger that I'd literally just met. She knows nothing about me, but she could see in that moment that maybe I was having a bit of a rough time. And she was like, I'm just going to reach out and be there for someone. And really, really appreciate it. I met so many lovely people on the track. It was really, really great.
The bonds that are created on this are incredible, aren't they? I think they're kind of lifelong.
Definitely.
I think she would have had a massive appreciation for how hard it was anyway.
Yeah.
Like, and then
I mean, she was also struggling. I'm not sure, I don't want to speak out of turn how old she was, but she's not a spring chicken, bless her. Like, but super, super fit, and but you could. It's a physically very hard test for anyone. Yeah, I think, and
it's humbling.
It is,
isn't it? It takes you back to that, like, hard things will make you appreciate. Yeah, it's a life-changing experience anyway, and for you, like, adding on like the extra challenges that you have it's immense.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say, what is next for you? What's the firstly, like, where you obviously want to go back and do that.
At some point, definitely in the next year or two, I definitely want to finish that. I don't think it will sit right until I've done it, because I was so close.
We'll get you there. Whatever. You'll have the full support.
Honestly, I feel it's funny. I feel in a bit of a period of my life where I feel like there's going to be like change coming. I definitely, I think slowly you realize as you get older, right? Like, what is more important, what is less important, and actually what direction you want your life to go in. And I think at the moment it's definitely closer to where I want it to be, but it's not quite, how I would like it. So I think just like maybe career-wise, or just take a little bit of a different direction and maybe slow down a little bit. Because I think, like I said before, I'm very good at putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I think, don't really know where it came from, because definitely not my mum, but like this idea of success is having a good job and a nice car to drive. And I think this is something that, it's so not important. It really isn't, but it is something for some reason in society. It is still important for a lot of people. Yeah. And I think it's like trying to let go of that. Be like, I worked so I finished my degree and I got a job in London, and I worked for I don't know if I want to name drop, but a very big luxury toy company in London. And like, I went in at quite a low level, and I got promoted after 5 or 6 months, and like I was doing really well. And I think I stayed for about 1.5 years, because I just sat in the office one day. And like, I'm sure if I'd stayed there, I could have built like a really fantastic corporate career. And I just sat in the office, and it was raining, the UK is like raining and grey. And I just sat there and I thought, this is not what I want my life to be. Like, I think I'm fully capable of doing this if I push myself to, but I'm not enjoying it. And that's then when I actually quit and then ended up doing the job I'm doing at the moment, which is definitely closer to how I'd like my future, I think, because it is a little bit more in nature. I get to be outside in the mountains. Austria's absolutely beautiful. So grateful that I get to spend a lot of time there. And just a little bit, like, especially in the summer, I have a lot more flexibility about the way I work. I predominantly work from home over the summer, doing all the planning for the following season. The winter's pretty hardcore, but the summer is way more relaxed. So I think just, letting go of some of those ideas that success doesn't need to be what other people call success. And actually success some days for me is getting out of bed and having a shower. And actually recognizing that is success in that moment, that when you're having a bad day, whether you've got Crohn's disease, whether you haven't got anything and you're just having a bad day and you're just human, and just actually saying, no, like, that's success for me today. And like we said, the more important things in life are those things like human connection and just being happy. And I think moving forwards, I just need to find a little bit more balance with this feeling of success and chasing this success, and actually slowing down and living life a little bit kinder to myself. I think.
Well, the fact that you have acknowledged that is massive. Like,
to know.
No, it is.
I think it's so easy to get caught up in this kind of I don't know, this kind of rat race. It's almost like a tornado of, like, you should be doing this and you should be doing this and you're not achieving that, and it depending on your social setting and who you've got around you, I think it's so easy to fall into these things where you're constantly putting pressure on yourself to do more. And actually I think it's kind of important that a lot of us do less now. Like, I think it's really important that people slow down and actually take time to, like we said, enjoy small things and be grateful about small things, and just slow down and give themselves some time to be, and actually think about what they want, rather than just kind of being dragged along in the with the masses.
Well, on that note, I want to say a massive thank you for sharing that insight, but also your story. I do think it's brave. You have to take that as a compliment, even if you don't want to. Thank you. And human connection, like, you've traveled a long distance to get here today, and that will come with challenges. You've got up early, which you said is a hard thing.
I am not a morning person.
I want to pass on the lessons that you taught me today, which is to just say thank you. Like, I think this episode is definitely going to touch people.
Thank you.
It will give them some awareness. It's one that I probably need to listen back to many a times to be like, right, okay, remember. So thank you. And I guess my only message is to keep doing what you're doing, because it seems weird saying it's a beautiful story, because I know it comes with angst and stuff, but I think you are a prime example of putting it out there in a way that is helpful to others, and I guess provide you a little bit of healing as well with being able to share your story.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
that's really, really lovely.
I
don't know if I really spoke enough about Crohn's disease, really. I also ended up talking about life in general.
Before we wrap up then, because I just want to make sure that I don't run out of camera.
Sorry.
It's my stupid camera that keeps pulling out. But let's add this in. Can you give me a misconception about Crohn's disease that perhaps you come across?
That it can be controlled by diet.
Okay.
Everybody always is, should you be watching what you eat? You shouldn't be eating that. Or you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't drink that. You shouldn't eat this. And yes, to a certain extent, diet can help manage Crohn's disease.
Right.
But ultimately, it is an autoimmune disease. You cannot manage it solely by diet. Well, as far as the doctors have told me, and as far as I'm aware, I'm sure there are some stories out there that maybe somebody has managed to do that. But I have to take medication to keep it in remission. And so, I think that's one of the really big ones. And I think just generally not understanding the bigger picture, that it isn't just going to the toilet, that like we've talked about, the massive impact it has on your mental health. And there's other things with Crohn's. So, like, I've got arthritis in my spine. sometimes it's active, sometimes it's not, and it's just inflammation from my Crohn's disease basically. So, and like it can also have joint pains are completely normal. You get inflammation in your joints.
Did I read rightly mouth ulcers as a thing?
Mouth ulcers, yeah. Like, when I was at base camp, I had the worst mouth ulcers ever.
Gosh.
Just like, yeah, so many small things that I get them always on the roof of my mouth, and it makes eating nearly impossible. It is so painful, and it's like, it's such a small thing, but when you add that on top of going to the toilet, nearly pooping yourself, you know, having back pain, having mental strain, and then having mouth ulcers, like it can be tough sometimes. And I think the biggest thing I think for Crohn's is I look fine, and I'm not fine, and I think. Oh, there's actually something I'd really love to say if we've got time. Is that okay? So there was one lady on the trip when I was trekking, and she asked me about my Crohn's disease. And I spent about 10 minutes talking to her about it, explaining what it's like to live with it. And at the end of the conversation, she turned around and said, well, you can't be that sick, can you? Because you're here doing this. So you clearly don't have very severe Crohn's disease at all, because you wouldn't be here. And look, no bad feelings towards this lady. I can't expect everybody to understand, you know, what it's like to live with Crohn's or a disability or an illness. You can't. And I hope that my conversation with her maybe helped to educate her a little bit. But that feeling, like in that moment, it feels like someone's saying, like, you're lying, like you're not telling me the truth. You're clearly making it sound way worse than it is. And like, it's like, I just took time to be open and honest with you, and you've just turned it back with, oh, well, I basically don't believe you. She's like, my friend's husband has Crohn's disease and he can't leave the house. And yeah, there's periods of my life where I haven't been able to leave the house. You know, after my last surgeries, I couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, to look at me now, you wouldn't probably think that, and you wouldn't know that. But I think, yeah, going back to what we said before, just a little bit more, like, just consideration. And I think that conversation will really stick with me. And in the moment, I was actually really, like, kind of upset about it in a way, because it just feels sad that people can be so judgmental. And like, I'm trying to do something nice and good and be open, which I find hard anyway. Like, I've always found it hard, and then to be then met with that resistance of, well, like, are you even telling the truth? It's a weird one. It's really, really strange. But
it's hard then to come back from that to then reopen up to somebody else. Because that experiences shape us no matter what, don't they? Like, you say, you open yourself up to someone, it gets crushed. It's like,
oh, okay. What do I do now?
Like, and it's putting onus on, like it was almost blaming you, like, which
and I
really...
like, it's such a small thing, but I think these small interactions can have such an impact to someone. So I think it just being a little bit more mindful of people, and not judging them at face value, and actually listening to what people have to say, and not just, you know, believing their reality and believing what they have to say if they take the time to talk to you, and not just dismissing that based on whatever you thought before that conversation. And
educate as well. For, like, that's one thing, like, where is a good place for people to get educated on Crohn's disease?
So like information? The charity that I raise money for, they have so much online. They're a fantastic resource. They do some, like, amazing work for patients, and obviously for people. Like, they have stuff for employers that you can send to your employer, like, really, really great. So Crohn's and Colitis UK, definitely really great resource to understand a little bit more about inflammatory bowel disease. So Crohn's is not the only type of inflammatory bowel disease. You've also got colitis. They're the two main ones, and there's some lesser known different ones too. But yeah, definitely. I think the thing that I'd love, if everybody that listened to this could just take maybe 5-10 minutes out of their day and just Google it. Just, you know, just Google inflammatory bowel disease and Crohn's disease, and just have a little read, and just
be educated and kind.
Sounds so simple, to be kind, right? But thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. I'm so excited